Welcome to the Skate Like You podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, it's Mark, Skate Like You podcast. I am here with JD Doptis. How you doing, JD?
Good. How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks for doing it. JD, do you remember about how long ago we met?
I want to say we met probably about 2 years ago because I think I had that awkward aha moment when I was skating in Ohio at Castle Skateland. You actually have the shirt on tonight. And I came up to you and I was like, hey, you're like Mark. And I think we had that we did. I think we had that really weird exchange of like that I've seen you before. Man. I saw you in Philly at the Philly Skateplex, and then like at that event, I think it was a little bit less chaotic. And I was like, should I say hi to him? Like, will he know who I am? Because I'm just like this guy who watches people skate on the internet, kind of like the rest of us, though. It's one of those like big moments where it's just like, I need to go say hi because like, why not? I comment on your stuff online. So I skated up to you and I literally shook your hand and I was like,
it was probably super sweaty. Like the sweatiest hand ever, probably.
Probably. But I was just like, hi, I'm JD. And you were like, Mark. And I was like, hi.
I remember this now. I swear I was not fishing for this at all. I swear to God. Because I honestly didn't remember. And now I remember that. And what's funny about it is, see, Castle, that event was the second event I went to. And I was at Pittsburgh. I was at Neville just prior to that. That was my first event. Okay. And you must have been there that year. You must have been there then. Because I remember being like, it's so funny how we perceive these things differently, though. Because I knew who you, like in my mind, you're the guy that's been around. I'm not the guy. I'm brand new, right? I'm at Ohio, all self-conscious about my skates. You know what I mean? Like it's so funny, man, how we perceive things. Yes, but I think I do remember that. Hi.
And then I think we just skated off at that point. Like it was just one of those like I said hello, and you were with Ed, and I think I came over and we chatted a little bit over by the snack bar area. I don't know, small conversations, you know what I'm saying? But it was just one of those things where I was like, check mark. I met Mark. Like I met the skater that does the thing with his feet,
Oh my God. So did you hear the story about how I met Lacey? Like
yeah.
Where I called her my name? It couldn't have been more awkward. And it was at Neville just prior. It was the event right before Ohio. And Ray introduced me. And I'm like, hey, my name's Mark. Nice to meet you, Mark. And she didn't miss a beat. She looked at me. She's like, did you say Mark? And I said, yeah, I did. I said that. And she just laughed in my face.
Well, and I did something similar when I met her. So I used to skate another rink, and I went up to her too because, like you, I have seen her skate online before, and I've watched thousands of videos of just the people that are now my friends, which is really cool. And I was like, should I go up to her and introduce myself? Should I? I don't know. And then I was talking to my friend Mark, and I'm like, do you want to go up? Do we want to say hi? Like, she's at our skating rink. Like, she's on our floor. Like, we should go say hi.
Right.
So I think that we all kind of face that same, like, maybe fear or just like, do I go up to these people and say hi to them? But I think we all do the same thing because it's just what we do. And when I said hi to her, and it was just the rest was just Lacey, cool.
Love her. It's weird. It's weird because like I was just talking to somebody about this today, where like I think maybe some of it has to do with our culture and everything too, where we kind of like put people in certain positions based upon like where we see them and how we see them and stuff, and like. And yeah, to me, there were this kind of like, there were these few people that are kind of like mini celebrities to me, kind of thing. And the worst too, like for me, like as a constant overthinker, right? That just over analytical, thinks about everything way too much. But as a dude, like wanting to go up to a girl, like I don't want to, I watched you on the internet. Like,
yeah, you don't want to be this like stalker freakish
creeper, dude.
Exactly.
Exactly. I see you a lot, but like, I mean, I'm not looking for you. Like, I'm not thinking that's what I would do. I would go down that whole thing, like, I swear to God, I'm not watching you. I don't know where you live. No, I really don't know where you live. Yeah, it would be horrible. But Yeah, I don't, and it's funny is now I've had these exchanges where I can feel people nervous with me, and I'm like, dude, trust me, I'm so not like
I'm
qualified for anyone to feel
I'm
awkward around.
I'm a nobody and I like to skate and share that
Yes.
skate with everybody. Like I'm literally like the most normalest dude ever, you know.
Right.
And maybe I stay to myself, maybe I skate with other people, and I usually skate with everyone, to be
I
honest with
try to.
I try to, you know, and a lot of people see that, and I think that comes also from like, you know, how you were brought up in the world, and you know, are you a shy person? Are you not? I'm not shy, like
Yeah.
at all, you know. And actually, the funny thing is, you and I also did another interview when we were in Franklinville, Skate 47. Remember that?
847 for
Yeah,
Firing,
I think,
which
yeah.
I had a really good time with.
And I remember it was like microphone, headset, microphone, headset. You guys are gonna talk and be real cool, right? I'm like, yeah. And it's just like we've done this 100 times. Like
Yeah. It
I've
was
hung
kind of
out with
like,
you, I've said hi, we've talked, and you know, so
yeah, it felt a
but
little
it's
like
like it's
comedy
breaking the
duo.
breaking the ice. That's all it is, you know. And it's just like just say hi. Like I think anyone that you approach out there will definitely say hello to you, and you know maybe ask where you're from because you know in certain circumstances like we skate all over the place, you know.
Mhm.
One of the things that I'll talk about, maybe you'll ask me, but maybe I'll just wait. Actually, let's just wait. You'll ask me where I've skated or how many places I've skated.
Mhm.
I want
I
to.
will ask you.
Okay, then let's wait for that one then. But
The
yeah,
other thing though, to me, the other thing that's funny is that I also kind of felt like it's so funny. The more people I talk to, like a lot of the people I'm talking to, I kind of just knew from like their online kind of life, whatever, the Facebook
same.
videos and whatever. And like and then I would see them at events, and my perception is that everybody has been like either never left skating or has been back for like years, and they've been doing this for so I thought like this was just this whole like everybody at every event knew everyone, and I just didn't know anyone.
Yeah,
And I come to find out that's not how it is a
completely
lot of
opposite
the
of
time.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Most of us are just as socially awkward as we tend to think we ourselves are. How if that made sense. Yeah. So it's really funny because I talk to certain people like, oh yeah, I've been back for like a year. I'm like, wait, what? Like, don't you know everyone? Aren't you like the cool kid in this thing? And they're like, no, I just So my perception was so off to this whole world. You know what I mean? Based on what I would see online.
Well, and also like I don't want to say I'm new to skating, but I'm like the born again skater again.
Right. Right.
Because I skated as a child. We'll go back and talk about that. So I first started skating back in 1987. Um, at
1987. Do you remember the first time you ever put on skates?
I don't think I remember the first time I put on skates, but I remember being at the rink that I used to skate at as a child. And this place was phenomenal. It was called Valley Skating Center in Denora, Pennsylvania, which is a small town about 45 minutes to an hour south of Pittsburgh. And my grandfather actually skated. My whole family skated, by the way. And my grandfather used to take me
Okay.
there the minute I was probably like 6 or something like that. And I remember putting on, well, rentals because I didn't have skates at the time. And I had the most fun in that, like, what seemed to be the whole day
Hmm.
event, which was only maybe an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours max. We had an absolute blast to the point of us going back often, like once a week. And I was raised by my grandparents, so like I was with them all the time. Both my grandmother and my grandfather skated on obviously quads because there weren't inlines back in the day. And one of the most amazing things ever at the old rink that I used to skate at, they had what was called the Denora Invitational. It was a skating invitational, and it was artistic. It was boys, girls, men, women who competed. It was just the most amazing thing to see as a child. And they
Hmm.
would pack that place. And I'm talking, you know, 700 people in this building, and they had bleachers set up around the sides, and like you would just watch these incredible people skate, and I'm like, I want to be like that.
Right.
Like it was just
So
the
when
coolest
you
thing
say
ever as a child.
yeah, so like now when you say like the okay, so it's this artistic competition, 600 or 700 people show up. I'm assuming that they're not all skaters, right? Like, is this something that's just so ingrained in the town that people just come year after year?
Well, people come from all over, to be honest with you, because there were
Okay.
people of several states away. So it was hosted. I believe the rink did it for close to 20 plus years.
Wow.
And like people like Tara Lipinski skated there before she did ice. So like
Mm-hmm.
she was a roller skater as well. So they competed there like as a championship. So that was really cool to kind of just see these people before they were who they are today, skating in this
Mm.
small little town in Pennsylvania. And you're thinking, wow, like I've watched this in my backyard because I lived 5 minutes from that rink. So
Yeah.
we went year after year, and it was $4 to go back then for this event. So we definitely were there, and it was a 4 or 5 day event because I think it started on like a Wednesday night or something like that, and went all the way through Sunday.
Yeah.
And these skaters were of all ages, all different backgrounds from Indiana, Ohio. We had people from New York. We had people from Jersey. I mean, like they just came to this rink, and I thought that was just such an amazing thing to see as a kid because I was
That's
never really
awesome.
into sports, like so I didn't play baseball or basketball or anything like that. But skating was my thing.
So you like me, like, so we didn't have artistic, we didn't have any type of skating per se at my kind of little podunk rink. Maine in general is very individualistic in its style anyway. Like, you don't see like a large shuffle line. You don't like that. Doesn't they will have them, but everything is very individual as far as style goes. And I remember seeing certain guys, my big brother, and certain people, and be like, "Oh, that's that. I want to do that. I want to skate like that." And for you, it was going to these competitions. So it wasn't. Was it? Did you have artistic skaters kind of doing their thing at the sessions, or were you mostly just seeing that at the competition?
We did actually have them at the
Okay.
session because the way that the skate schedule was arranged back then, Monday night was the organ night, and it was packed,
Wow.
packed.
Huh.
I know that's a thing.
Yeah.
Packed, but I mean, like you would actually sometimes go on that night just to watch and see, and kind of like if you were like a jam skater and you're like, how do I get this move down? You go to
Right.
the center of the floor, you ask someone for help, and they literally help you. So,
Hmm.
if you wanted to learn a step in foxtrot or whatnot, you literally asked anybody, and they
Hmm.
literally just grabbed your arm and said, "Follow me."
That's so
So
cool.
like that was just the night to go. So we went on Monday nights for organ night. We went on Wednesday, which was like kind of the teen nights whenever I was older. We went specifically on the weekends because that's when they had their like preteen matinee kind of session. And my grandparents weren't working then, so like they were able to take me on the weekends and whatnot. So yeah.
Hmm. So now, when did that competition stop?
Ooh, I want to say that stopped in the early 2000s.
Were you already out of skating or taking your hiatus at that
Was,
point?
yeah, because I
Okay.
skated all through my pretty much all through my teens. And
Hmm.
then, like work and school got in the way, and then I kind of stopped skating for a while. And
Hmm.
my friend Christine, who you may know, she's the short girl with the black dark hair that's with me all the time,
Hmm.
curly hair. She called me the one night and literally said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I think I was just at home, probably not doing anything. And she goes, "Let's go skating." And I'm talking,
Hmm.
this is probably a good 10 to 15 years after I haven't really skated, and I
Now,
didn't have
did she
skates at
skate
that
with
point.
you previously? I'm sorry. Did she skate with you previously?
Like as a child, no.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
No, not as a child. She did not.
Okay.
However, Marco had as a kid, and we grew up at that same rink. But I don't think we knew each other back then because we would
Okay.
do like pictures, and I'm like, I wonder if I'm in one of those birthday parties, or because I was there all the time. So we had to have crossed paths at some point in time. But she called and she wanted to go skating, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, yes, let's do this. So once again, I didn't have skates. So obviously we had to rent skates, and I think either I picked her up, she picked me up, and we went to the rink. And just in that 2 hour session, the amount of fun we had,
Hmm.
we've been skating ever since, and I love
And
that.
when was that? What year you
That
think?
was probably 16.
Wow. Okay. So you are somebody that has been back around for. like kind of that time frame is what I kind of like just automatically applied to people, like that they've been at least all skating together this many years, 5, 6, 7 years, whatever. All right, interesting. So would you, what's funny is I was just talking to somebody else about like coming up, growing up in the rink. I mean, I don't remember learning how to skate. Like I like kind of the way that I relate it to like learning how to walk. Like I just don't remember it, right? Like, and and I did that basically all through high school. And it was funny because I never really thought about it too much, but it was like when I was talking to somebody that was a little young, it's a little younger, and a lot younger, only having graduated high school a few years ago, and much more closer to that experience, and I was asking him, like, what was like your social situation like? Like, did you have kind of two sets of friends? Was it like your rink friends and like your high school friends? Because it's so funny. I never put it together, but I absolutely did. Like when I was real young, of course, everybody at school or my friends from school, they might show up at a birthday party or something like that. You might see them once in a while, but like I literally had like skate friends that like were at the rink, but then like a whole nother kind of another set of friends in high school. Did you have a similar experience like that or?
No, no, quite the opposite because I grew up in a very small town and
Okay.
where Valley Skating Center was in the old terms that they have under new management, but where they were is in an area where kids from four other districts just ascended, right?
Okay. Okay.
And back in the 80s and early 90s, like skating was the thing like it is today. Like, I mean, it's
Right.
just bam, it's on the scene. I remember my grandparents dropping us off on, Friday night, Saturday night, 7 o'clock, 7:30 session and picking us up at 10.
Mm.
Here's a $10 bill, grab something to eat. If you need a ride home, call us, we'll come early. But if not, we'll be outside waiting for you. And literally
Yep.
every kid in the valley, their parent or guardian did that. Like they just dropped them off. And I mean, back then the times were much different as well, So
Mhm.
like you got dropped off and, Linda Miner, who owned the rink prior, she literally was like everyone's mom, right?
Mm.
And she watched all of these kids from the Mon Valley literally grow up in front of her because her and her family owned rinks for their entire lives, by the way.
Okay.
So like this whole family, that was just their thing. And even like her daughter Kylie, who I'm friends with is still today, it's just like I remember Kylie when she was younger and now it's like, oh my gosh, we're in our 40s. Like how is that even like possible?
I
Because I
know.
feel like I've known you forever, and I feel like a child every single time I'm here because I have so much fun.
Mm.
But
Mm.
going back to that earlier question though, like our friends, everyone skated though, like from early
Oh, okay.
school. So like you really had that core group and it's like you're going skating, right? And we hung out at the rink on Fridays and Saturdays and some Wednesdays, and I really didn't have a lot of non-skater friends because it was just the thing to do in the area where we lived.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's so different than my experience. It's funny too because like we were like this little ragtag like kind of group of kids like from every socioeconomic background, age range. It was like it is like it is today, where in a lot of other situations, like certain people you just wouldn't find like you're just not in the same social situations, right? But at the rink, it's like everybody, like you know what I mean. And it was
Everyone's
the
the
same way
same.
when I was a kid. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. So now, okay. So you stop skating for a while, but you get a call, and you go check this out, and you are like immediately back
Hooked,
in, hooked
hooked.
again.
Hook,
Bug
line, and
is
sinker, yeah. And we started to grab, and also this is funny because back in the day, there used to be paper schedules, right? There was the month
yeah.
schedule. And I literally would have this thing on my fridge and I would star dates or highlight dates where I knew I was going to, like, hey, I wasn't working through at 11 or whatever, I can go. And Christina and I went skating for a while. And then I think one night she was like, we need to buy skates. Like that's just a thing because like these rentals suck, right? I
Yeah.
think I can attest that all rentals kind of like whatever. Um, we bought skates and here I am today.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was gonna ask you how long was it before you went and dropped a couple bucks on skates? So you think 6 months, 3 months, what?
Believe it or not, I think I waited almost a year to get like, and they're not the skates that I skate on today. But I
Mhm.
think I waited about a year because one of those things where it's like we went as often as we could, but it was one of those things where I'm like, do I want to get skates? Like, am I going to continue to go like I used to? Because at the time the rentals worked, right?
Mhm.
And I remember buying a pair and I was like, okay, great. Now I can like style it out with different laces and different wheels and do all this cool stuff. And I had to buy new things because I was like, I don't want to keep these same wheels on that were on the boot. I need to like change it up a little bit. And that was like, I want to say that's my adult pair of skates, like my first adult pair. And
Right.
then once I destroyed those ones because they were, obviously cheaper than the ones I have today. Um, I don't look back on the purchase of my skates that I have today, and I absolutely love them. And I travel with them, I fly with them, when I go to these different skates to skate at these different events, and it's just like a part of me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you check your skates when you fly?
No, they go with me. Yeah,
Good
they go
man.
with me. Also because I skate to the gate, so I'm sure
You're one of
you've
those guys.
So I've skated at multiple airports already. And the craziest thing about skating at the airports are the looks that you get from people of all ages, right?
Right.
Because one, you're tall, right?
Right.
Considering the same size at the airport, right? You're instantly taller and you're moving at a decent clip through the airport or through any
Right.
one of these terminals, but safely. And I remember the one porter, the one guy that was pushing a woman in a wheelchair, literally stopped me. He was like, "Hey," and like I kind of like caught my attention, and I stopped, and I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" He goes, "I think you have the coolest set of wheels in this building," and I was like, "Wait a second." I'm like, "There's wheels everywhere." I'm like, "There's wheelchairs, there's suitcases, there's like the wheelie bags, and like there's wheels around this whole. There's
Yeah,
scooters. Like I'm like, okay, I got some green wheels at this airport. Like, yeah, I
it
got the
makes sense.
wheels."
So is it like actually allowed though? That's what I always wonder when I see these videos. I've never done
So it depends. Like a lot of the airports have
it.
websites. I do check
Depends.
the websites before I go to these places to see if there's quote unquote rules of what you can and cannot do.
You
A
look for roller skating rules on.
I have. Only because I want to know in advance of like,
Right.
what's going to happen. So typically, here's how it works. So I get to the airport, I pass through TSA, and when I get past TSA is when I actually like take my shoes off and I lace up. And specifically, once I like,
Take notes.
so then you lace up, and it's funny because even TSA will stop you and say, "Hey, like, are you in a competition?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just going to an event somewhere."
Right, right.
And they're usually floored that there's skating events that take place.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, and they like literally see this setup that's like not your average pair of roller skates, right? They're not like the cheap skates you buy online, but they literally look and they're like, "Are you gonna put those on?" And I'm like, "Yeah, if you're not gonna say anything." They're like, "No, like that's really cool."
Yeah.
And this has happened at multiple airports across the United States, by the way, so not just one airport. Several have said that to me, so I'm assuming it's fine. I've never been stopped. I've had police officers go by me and
Yeah.
literally look and smile. But going back to that, like they all smile at you because you're just like, that's the coolest way to get to the gate. Like,
Yeah.
and you're mindful. So I'm not speeding past people or doing tricks or anything like that. I'm going at a nice clip, but literally it raises heads, because people are like this and all of a sudden they see something zooming by and they go like this and then the kids point and smile. So it kind of makes people's day, a
Yeah.
little when you're, because I mean, traveling can be frustrating, like what if you
Oh yeah.
miss a flight or what if you're first time flying and you're just super nervous and then you see some guy who's almost 6 foot tall breezing by you on a set of skates. Like,
Yeah. I
yeah.
tell you what, because I used to with work, I used to have to go to Utah all the time, Utah and Idaho, and I would always connect in Atlanta, and it was
Two
always
states I haven't been to yet.
oh man, Atlanta's just like the word. Because it would always be like literally I have minutes to get to this gate that's probably on the other side of the airport now. Man, like that would have been perfect then. like to have skates. But it's so funny because I see all these videos, and most of the time it's people I know, and everything, like, nothing's ever, you never see anything or hear anything about like people being reprimanded or anything like that. So like there is this sadistic part of me though that's like waiting to see the video that like where security's like chasing one of you guys through the air or something like that. I don't know.
So funny story, at Chicago O'Hare, right?
Okay.
I used to fly with my cat as well. So, um, yeah, so my now fiance lived in Chicago at the
Okay.
time. So I would fly back and forth between Pittsburgh and Chicago. And I would be in Chicago for about a month at a time, right? So, like, because I work remotely and I was able to, I'm not going to board my cat. So, like, what do I do? I'm like, let me go to the airport with my cat and my skates. And according to Southwest, two bags fly free. So, one of those will be my cat and one of those will be my skates. And my real suitcase can be checked, right? So I got to the airport, and when I passed through TSA, I have my cat carrier in this hand. I have my skate bag with my shoes in this, and I'm literally skating to the gate. And my cat is very vocal. She's meowing the entire time, but like a peaceful meow.
Yeah.
And literally everyone is like, "Did I just see a cat go by?"
Right. Right. Yeah.
Skate. Yeah.
Yeah, because it is interesting. Yeah, it's interesting enough to see somebody roller skating, and then you add a cat to that equation, and all of a sudden your crazy level just goes up like that.
Just exponentially. Yeah. Yeah.
The skating cat dude.
Yeah.
He's
That's,
so
yeah.
famous, like, oh my god, wow, that's hilarious, man. That's good stuff. I like
And
that.
like hi to everyone who's watching this from Chicago, and you might have seen me at that airport. Yeah,
Yeah, he's
haven't done
not.
it
He's
at
not.
Chicago, but I've done it at O'Hare. So yeah.
You can approach him and talk to him. He's not as crazy as he looks.
And plus, like the kids love it. Like when I pull up at the gate, like I stop, she stops. We both, she's meowing. They're just like, I can't believe there's this guy on roller skates that has a cat.
With a
Like
cat.
literally, like the parents just smile, like they really do.
Wow. Wow. Interesting. So okay, so you got back into skating. You're skating for like a year. You get new skates. Are you like meeting like people? Are you in that first year? Are you like kind of expanding your skate fam or making a skate
So
family or?
So yeah, a little bit. So when we first started skating, Christine and I were at Valley Skating Center,
Mm-hmm.
and we ran into Mark, who's Marco Rolls on Eight, if you know
Mm-hmm.
him. So he was there as well, and like we both kind of were like, let's go talk to that guy because like he knows how to skate.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember rolling up to Mark, maybe 2 Februarys ago, and we just kind of like approached him at the end of the session and was like, hey, like, where are you from? Stuff like that. Because like we don't know where anyone's from at that point now that we're all older and we obviously didn't recognize him. And he said, I grew up here. We both looked at each other and like, wait, well, we did too.
Right.
And we would talk about like the games that were in the snack area and like the old school arcade stuff. And I'm like, okay, he checks out. Like he literally did skate here. And then the full on like because they had Rampage. I don't know if you remember
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Rampage. And
Like
I
the
that was
gorilla and like
yeah, that was like the best game
city
ever.
wrecking. Yeah.
Best game ever. And I was like, okay, so he's like legit, like, and that's when we got to talking about like, parties and whatnot. And like he had pulled up some pictures and, I was like, we have to know each other because he was from the other school district, one of the other school districts. And I'm like, and he's 2 years older than me. So I'm like, how's this, like
Mm.
we have to know each other. So we call ourselves the OG3.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, myself, and Christine kind of started our little skate fam. And Mark actually is from West Virginia. He actually moved out of the area. So that's where the 304 comes from. That's
Okay.
West Virginia's area code. And it's basically a skate collective of everyone who lives in or around the area. And if you're looking for distance, West Virginia, specifically Morgantown to Pittsburgh, is about an hour. So it's really not far at all. We can get to Ohio, we can get to West Virginia, we can get to Maryland relatively quickly from where I live in Pittsburgh. So um, we kind of just like said, okay, yes, let's put these shirts on and see what happens. And it kind of grew organically from there to other people in the rink asking if we're in this specific group or club of people, and we're like, no, we just love to skate, and he's from this area, but we represent this 412 area code, and like we're from Pittsburgh, and so that's just how that was born, and it kind of just grew at that point. I do remember Mark and I talking one night about some skaters that we're friends with today. And we talked about going to one of these events, right? Because we were like,
Right.
do you think we're good enough to go to these events? And, you know, we both were like, I don't know, because it's like, these are like hardcore skaters and we're just like session skaters, you know?
Right.
And Mark did speed skate as a kid and whatnot. And I was never speed as a kid, but I was more on the artistic side. And I'm like, I would be out of my element here, so let's just like practice. So we practiced what we could do shuffling with two people, right? You know, you just practice.
Uh-huh.
And we did the decision, we made the decision I think it was last year actually, to go to the USA Shuffle event in Georgia.
Okay.
And boy, did we feel out of place there. Like once again, we were these nobodies from this little town in Pennsylvania. And all of a sudden, we're seeing all of these people that we watched on the internet, right? So it's just
Uh,
like overload, immediate overload, because it's like you saw this person and that person and that person, and they're all underneath one roof, right? How awkward is that? And you're just like, oh gosh, I gotta get on the floor and skate too. And then that floor was fast. And I'm like, could I even do this? You know, like it was just so crazy my first year, seeing everybody like,
this is Sparkles.
those are the sparkles, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and that's a crazy first event.
It was overwhelming to say the least because I mean we don't there's so many different skate styles out there, and seeing the speed at that floor, I was like, we're not that fast, like we're just not that fast.
And it's not that big. You know what I
It's
mean? Which makes
actually
everything a lot more dangerous.
that a lot smaller than the home rink that I grew up at, you know, because I grew up
Yeah.
at a rink that's 185 by 80, so it's a large floor, and then the sparkles floor is smaller than that. And then the Kennesaw floor seems even smaller, and it's cement, right? So like, ooh,
I
scary.
mean, yeah, and what's funny because the first time I was at the USA event was back in I guess March, and it was like my first time skating since fracturing my ankle. You know, and I had been to a couple of events at that point, but they were moving. You know, and I'm like, just zoom, zoom, zoom. You know, and I wasn't apprehensive about my ability to keep up, but like one, I was like, man, like I don't want to hurt my ankle again. I don't want to put myself out of commission. But I really just didn't want to like kind of be in somebody's way. These guys were synced up. You know what I mean? Like it looked like it was so perfect. And knowing that like I'm kind of different, just how I skate and everything. And it's so funny too, because a little while after that, I was visiting family, and like Buford, Skate Country Buford is
Oh yeah,
not too,
yeah, been there.
yeah, it wasn't too far. And I also went to check out Kate's Gastonia,
Okay, I've not
while I
been
was
there.
there. But so I went to like the adult session at Skate Country, Georgia. But in my mind, like my only experience skating down south thus far, um, including going to Reflections, right? My only experience is like they just fly, right? So there I am at Skate Country Buford, not even close to as packed, as the USA Shuffle event is. But like for like the first hour, every time I like would feel somebody coming up behind me, I just start whoa, like going, right? Because in my mind I'm thinking, oh, like they fly, and now I'm in the way. Until I don't remember who it was, right? But someone was like, dude, what's with this guy, man? He needs to relax. Because every time I feel someone come up behind me, I get all self-conscious, like, oh crap, I'm not moving fast. And it probably, to them, they probably just were like, why doesn't this dude want to skate with anybody? Why is he running? And I had to tell myself, okay, dude, this isn't an event. Like, you can kind of relax here, But man, because in my mind, though, that was the first thing I had been exposed to were these two events down there. where everyone's just flying, you know? But I don't know. I just thought that was funny. So USA, what year is that then? The first event?
That was 23 that I went to.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, and now just like kind of returning to skating in general, where you get back into it and it's nonstop. Am I right in assuming that that's kind of how events were for you too?
Oh yeah, because after we got our taste of the USA event, USA Sparkles or Shuffle event in Hiram, we came back home and just told everybody about it. Like,
Right. Right. Right.
you have to go see these people and these skaters and these events and these rinks because I mean, if you're used, well, so and one other thing that that I can't really talk about is where we live here, like we only have like two rinks to choose from, right? Like I don't have a plethora of rinks to pick from. Like down there, you're like an hour from 17 different rinks. Maybe not
They're all
17.
rock.
There's a
Yeah.
lot, you know. So you really have your pick of what you want to do on what night. So, we don't have those options here, but when we came back, we kind of told the skaters that we skate with that like this is how these events happen. Oh my gosh, these people were here. It's like celebrity status, right? I saw this person, I saw that person, I saw that person, and we got to take pictures with them, and they were so cool. And oh my gosh, just to get to meet them off the floor was even better, and it just kind of like solidifies who this person really is and whatnot.
Mm,
It's just the coolest thing, and the skate travel bug has bit me
mm.
to the point where I've been to 17 different states and I've skated at 57 different rinks so far.
Do you use that tracker, like the rink tracker thing?
You know what? I used to be honest with you, but then a lot of the rinks weren't in there and it was just kind of time consuming for me. So I just have an iPhone and I keep a list by a whole list, first of all, like a numerical, like, hey, these are the numbers and this is where I've been. And then I keep like a state list. So I know like what state I've skated in and what rink it was. Uh,
Hmm.
and on the state list, I also keep the floor sizes because a lot of people ask me like,
How
hey,
big is the rink?
how big's the floor? And I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I didn't go out there and measure it myself, but like, so I usually, when I go places, I typically will ask who the manager is, or if I can speak to one of the managers, and then let them know I'm not here to complain. Just be,
Right.
I'm not going to be Karen. I just literally just want to know some information about your rink, and I introduce myself and just say, "Hey, I'm JD. This is rink number so and so for me, and I just want to know the size of your floor if you have those details." And
Yeah.
when you tell them that this is rink 55, 56, 57, they're like, "What? Like you've been to 57 rinks?"
Yeah.
Which may be a small number to some folks out there, but like they're like, well, which one did you like better? Or which one was bigger? Or what? And the questions that I get from that is just like, well, what floor was nicer? Which one's bigger? Which
Yeah.
one has the best music? Which one has the better sound system? Which one has the best disco ball display? So all those questions come into play, and sometimes I'm forgetful, so I gotta write it down on my phone, right? So I have all those notes in there, so I can, if someone says, "Hey, what's your favorite? What's your best?" I'm like, "Oh, it's this one."
Right. And they're like,
A couple based just on what I just talked about, like the size of the floor or the disco ball
yeah.
display. Like seriously, I have a few that are just like top notch. So
It's really some rink manager or some rink somewhere. It's like, I met the most organized, thorough roller skater ever today.
he came over with this iPhone with this list of skate rinks. Yeah, you
Oh
gonna write
man,
a review about us?
that's
And
amazing.
actually, that I get that too a lot. Are you putting this on a website somewhere? And I'm like,
Right.
no, this is just for my own personal use, just because people ask me about it. And when they travel to these cities and states, I let them know, hey, there's a floor there. Go skate.
So what? So what is your? What would you consider your home rink then?
So, interesting question. So, my home rink was Valley Skating Center all the way up until they sold the business. And I think 21, maybe, yeah, I think it was 21. So, my home rink is Neville Island Rollerdrome, which is in Pittsburgh. It's the only rink in Pittsburgh, technically.
Mm.
And that's a beautiful floor, by the way. And you have been there.
Hmm.
So, that is my home rink. I also am one of their newest certified learn to skate instructors
Yeah.
and they gave me an awesome opportunity to help them with their Learn to Skate program, and I just jumped on that because I didn't have anybody as a kid growing up who
Mm.
quote unquote taught me an official, like, this is how you skate, right? Like the whole rolleroo one and the kooky, no one taught me like that, right? So I was taught by my grandfather, who was an artistic skater. So luckily I have like that kind of fundamentals. And to take what he has taught me and to take what I've learned today and then to teach these kids, well, they're not kids, they're adults, right?
Mm.
We host about, I want to say we can sign up to 60 adults for each session. And we maintain a decent number of those adults, and those adults come back for the session as well. The rink does a really great job with, I'm going to call it retention. These students who then become skaters actually come
Mm.
back and skate at the public sessions. And just this past weekend, we had an adult skate night. We do the first Sunday of every month as an adult skate. And to see like 5 or 6 of those students there, it just like made my night, and I
Mm.
made sure to talk to each and every one of them and said, hey, mark your calendar for the next adult night because we're doing this again in November. And they just ask questions and they want to know how and why and like, is this what it's like? And I'm like, yes, this is what it's like. You get sweaty, you have a blast, you meet a lot of people, and like this whole group right here is just what we call our skate family, right?
Mm.
And so yeah, I would say Neville Island is my home.
I know that I've had nothing but great experiences at Neville. And it's funny too because like weird. I was there recently and had like 25 minute conversation with Jim, and I couldn't help but think about like about it while you were talking about the lessons and everything, because one of the things that he's telling me is that like there was a point where we kind of had this established kind of shuffle crowd, and we're working so hard to try and make that happen again here,
Yeah,
but
absolutely. Yeah.
and his whole thing was like, so if anything you need feedback or whatever, and but I can definitely say too. I remember literally saying this to some like a few people. The last Steel City was like, man, like they seemed like so on fire for that event to happen there. You know what I mean? Like Jim and like they really seemed like to embrace it, which is great.
Work that went in specifically with the past event that we had, from social media. I work with my friend Liz there, so we did a lot of fun stuff with bringing out these little fun rink rack chats, and people just love it. All the Instagram folks are just like, oh my gosh, are Liz and JD coming back? It's like we didn't go anywhere. Like we were just getting ready for the next event, right? Mm-hmm. So we did a lot of work to do that, and we ramped up the rink. The floor was recently redone, and it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful floor. Mm-hmm. And it's a true rink owner who actually respects the business that they run, mm-hmm. and wants to see that business grow.
Yeah.
And you can tell there's a significant difference. And I mean, you can tell that with pretty much any business owner, like one who is in it to make money or in it to have the business survive.
Yeah.
And Jim is one of those guys who wants that business to thrive and survive. I personally know him as well, and we have wonderful conversations about everything. How to, do the learn to skate class. We need to change anything, how the websites run, what Instagram looks like, what the music sounds like when you're there, what the experience is when you come in for the first time, like that really makes or breaks your opinion of that place, and he wants that to be the best that you can have, at any business.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely felt, I mean, in both situations too, like one as like just an event attendee, right? Like just very much, I literally had this discussion with multiple people that weekend being like, wow, man, this guy, like he seems so stoked that like, that we're that he's hosting this, like, and then going back just as a private session, and him like, just going out of his way to talk to me and welcome me and skate like you and the whole deal. You know what I mean? Just yeah. I've nothing but positive experience every time I've been there. So yeah. And I love that vintage look. I think that the graphics you guys did for this year's event, oh my God, I think it's so top notch. I'm a super stickler for like for clean, like tasteful graphics, especially with
Well, and it
tees and stuff
represents
like.
the city of Pittsburgh with its black and yellow, because we
Yep.
had a black shirt, a yellow shirt with the black print and the yellow print. And, one of the things that I've heard most of that event was just how it was run. The photo wall was a huge thing that everyone was there. We took photos of everyone. So it made you feel special. And then the water, like I got so many compliments on the water. Jim had this refrigerator by the door that was just stocked with a ton of just bottles of water that were free, as a token of his appreciation of just saying thank you. Like, so many compliments went out on the photo wall, the water, the music that night,
Mhm.
the skill of the skater. Like, it was just a fun event. And, mark your calendars for next year, right?
Oh
Because
yeah.
it's already coming. It's there. It's that last weekend, so it's just you can't compete to that, like when you have someone that runs that type of business and it runs that way, people will come back.
And I gotta say too, like, with in the time that I've gotten to know like Rob Cosmano, Jackie,
Oh yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
fact that
They were there.
like, yeah, I mean the fact that they, like, because essentially, like, Steel City is like kind of taking the reins of Eight Wheels No Brakes, and I know for someone like Rob who is as passionate about this whole thing as he is, he's not gonna haphazardly kind of pass that torch along. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah.
Or let someone put that stamp out there. So I mean, like, even if I didn't have my own personal experiences with Neville and Jim and everything, like, just that from Rob, like that him being like, I vouch for this is like more than enough for me and anyone that knows anything about Rob Cosmano and that whole thing. So it's a major tip of the cap. You know what I mean? To me,
Yeah,
I don't know if you feel the same.
yeah. And we also, for that event specifically, we had people come from 11 states,
Awesome.
which I think is just remarkable because I think year after year that event grows. And I think what you're doing, what we're doing with just these whole skate interviews, and you've interviewed people from across the US, like people up north, people down south, people right there in the middle,
Hmm.
and people see that and they're like, oh my gosh, like skating's a thing, and they want to go to these events, and I talk about these events, and when you see how well they're run, you want to continue and go. And one of the things that we see all the time too is just there's so many events. And it's like, how do you pick and choose which ones you want to go to? Or, and I personally try to go to the ones I have not been to yet.
Right.
So, like, I'm not going to Atlanta this upcoming weekend just because it's like
Yeah.
been there, done that. But, there's also an event at the end of this month in Indiana, at a rink that I've never been to. So, like, I may go to that one. And then
Yeah.
there is the one that's in Wisconsin in December in Waukesha. So that's a fun one to go to, and that's a beautiful rink in Waukesha, by the way. So it's such an amazing, amazing thing.
Yeah, and I take the same exact philosophy. So like I literally like was kind of trying to figure out a way to make Atlanta happen. I just got back from New England, just like skating just
Yeah,
rinks,
Rob, yeah.
Yeah. Which we had a blast. I love that guy. But like, and trying to make all that stuff work. But I take the same exact approach where I say, okay, like I did Atlanta back in March, um, but I haven't done Waukesha, and
Okay.
I want to do Abilene.
Okay.
So like that, I just kind of have to, you know, plan things out a little bit. I'm so busy with this. Um, but like in Waukesha, I feel like that's such a sleeper. You know what I mean? And there, cause man, let me tell you, some of oh my God, there's skate like Aaron Bardwell. Like
Oh
these guys
gosh,
are
yeah.
ridiculous. Like,
Aaron is
oh,
legs. Aaron is legs
oh,
for days. Yes.
dude, so the first event, the first Ohio event I went to is the first time I saw him.
Yeah, Aaron was there.
I'm
Yeah.
just like,
Aaron's my bald brother.
on top of being like a national speed skating champion.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? But that dude is crazy. He's
Yeah.
crazy. It's got that. He's got that Brandon Nix thing where like they're super lengthy dudes, right? With
Yes. Yes.
like, and you wonder like, how
And
can
they're
you
both fun to
move?
watch, by the way. Like,
Oh my God, yes.
mesmerizing. Mesmerizing. Yeah.
And no, and like nobody else, you
Yeah.
know. So like I'm like, yo, what is going on in Wisconsin? Which I never thought I'd hear myself say. Like I got to get to
So
Wisconsin.
I will say one thing though. So being a Pennsylvania resident, right? Because we're both from PA, it's not a bad drive, if I must say so. Like,
How
so
far?
you can fly into Milwaukee and drive if you want to like rent a car and do all that. Um, so from here to Chicago is just under 7 hours if you kind of
Mhm.
just kind of push it. And Chicago to Waukesha, maybe another hour, hour and a half, maybe probably an hour and a half. It's not that far at all. So like it's probably a good day trip if you don't mind leaving early in the morning and getting there later at night. Um, we're considering it. So if you're thinking about it, like drive over to Pittsburgh, park your car, we'll go.
I tell you what, I would be into it because like I don't know
Literally,
I
we're
don't know how
thinking
many
about
people.
like I just mentioned it the other day, and I'm like, there's that event in Waukesha again, and I'm like, I love it going out there. Plus, I get to see all my friends from Wisconsin and Illinois, so it's like a win-win for me. Like it really is, and you're right. It's
Yeah,
one of those smaller events that's catching speed, and it's and
yeah, because
Wisconsin's beautiful, by the way. So
I'm like in this I got in this chat like with and it was just really just to exchange some pictures like from Ohio with Lacey and Brian Kelts and Pob and stuff like that. And but they were talking, and I said, hey, like just randomly, I was like, hey, if you guys, because I would never really, I would always kind of eventually see a flyer or something like that for Wisconsin. I'm like, hey, you guys just throwing this out there. If you remember, if you know of anything in Wisconsin, give me a heads up. And you're like, well, by the way, and like Lacey's like, oh, I'm definitely going. It's basically like a home rink for me. She's like, I'm going. Like, so I was like, yeah, I got to do that. I absolutely have to. But I don't. But there's not many Central PA people or Philly like that are trying to drive out there. So yeah, I'll come to Pittsburgh and hit and hop in. Hell yeah.
yeah, that's definitely one thing that we're thinking about doing. And then another thing that you mentioned was Abilene, Texas.
Yes.
Also, that's a skate to the gate airport in Dallas. So,
So
so,
how do you do it when you go there? Like, how do you
so
travel?
here's what we did last year. So, Abilene was we went there for the first time last year, and boy, was that event fun too. Like, um, also runs an amazing Jeff also runs an amazing show down there. So we basically caught a flight out of Pittsburgh on Southwest, and we have super cheap flights from Pittsburgh to Dallas. So we got to the airport in the morning, flew to Dallas, and then we actually rented a car in Dallas because Southwest does not fly to Abilene. And that drive is about 3 hours. I take that drive as from Pittsburgh to Cedar Point. I'm a huge roller coaster fan, so that's what it takes to get to Cedar Point. Oh, we got season passes. Let's go.
I love Cedar Point.
I'm like year 4 or 5 on a season pass. So like
I'm a coaster
any free
nut.
any free weekend,
I'm a coaster nut, dude.
let's go. So I'm gonna ask you, what is your favorite coaster there?
So I haven't been to that one in forever. All I know is that like when I went last time I went was a teenager, and I know that whatever it was,
Okay.
it was like the record for like the highest steepest drop or something like that at one point.
Okay. That may have been the Mean Streak. Or yeah, I think it might have been Mean Streak, which has been RMC'd to it's now called Steel Vengeance.
Okay.
Sick ride. Oh my gosh. And then another favorite of mine there is the Millennium Force and Gatekeeper, but we'll leave that for another time because
Mm.
I see Cedar Point in our future. Okay, cool. Um, so we flew to Dallas. We rented a car, only 3 hours, and then we stayed at a hotel out there. And the event was at Jeff's place, the Skate and Place, and also it's a tight floor, by the way. Like as far as like it's narrow.
Hmm.
And I'm used to like the 180, 190, 200-ish by like 90 floors here. So it's definitely a smaller floor, but boy, it's decked out. The sound system's amazing. The hospitality that comes out of Jeff is a 10, right?
Yeah.
We ended up going to this place called Potosi Live. I think it was like the next
Yeah. Yeah.
Friday or something like that, or even Saturday. And we had a beautiful luncheon there and just wow, just wow. And believe it or not, that's one of the things that I'm actually looking forward to is just how he put on a show. And they did a Learn to Shuffle event. Shelbel and Jen did that with the kids. I did not do that last year, but I plan on maybe helping this year if we go, or next year if we go. But it's just a fun time. And in Texas at that point, it's nice because it's
Yeah.
cold, right? You know,
Yeah.
so you
Well,
like you bundle up, fly to Texas, take everything off, and then you're in warm weather for a weekend, and then you fly back to 30s or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, because I just had him on, and but he was talking too about like because kicking it off on people get in early on Thursday, and like just opening the rink free of charge. This like local like burger place comes, brings all these burgers. He's going to do it again this year. So if you get there early, because some people just get in early, like no charge, no charge to eat, right? The Saturday he's doing the Potosi again, the learn to skate thing again, and he said he's also working on something else that he can't really talk about, but because he wants to like kind of expand it, make it that much better every year he can, and the thing is one, I mean, we had a really really good conversation, limited interaction up until that point, but to a person, every single person that I talked to, every single person was like, you will not find like you'll be hard pressed to find somebody as a rink owner that is that invested in skaters
Like
as
dedicated.
this guy is.
Very
Yeah.
dedicated. I mean, I remember well, my first interaction, well, it would be ours because I was with a group of our 3 or 4 skaters. Welcome to Texas. One, we're glad you made it. Two, and this is like we're in the door. Like we didn't even like step foot in the building yet. Like we're literally at the door and he's greeting people and like he knew us, like he knew
Mm.
we were coming and just like for someone who's from out of state, like and Texas is I don't want to say not an easy place to fly to or get to, but like you're kind of remote for us. So like I'm
Especially with the events we're used to. We're not traveling like that's that far. You
correct.
know.
Yeah, yeah. So like getting there is like, okay, so we gotta fly, then we gotta rent a car, then we gotta get a hotel, and then we're gonna like change and get ready. And like so the logistical structure of that is much more than it is to say, hey, I'm going to Philly Skateplex this weekend. Where it's just
Yeah.
like, okay, I'll drive and I just need a hotel overnight.
Yeah.
So it's far different than that. But yeah, that sets him apart from others for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I mean, even with Steel City, this last one, like I got in Friday, I stayed Friday, but after the session Saturday, I drove home. I mean, it's kind of a long drive to drive home, but like, I don't, I'm way too high strung to ever get too tired behind the wheel. But yeah, but like, and and the thing is he's well aware of it. He knows he's like off the beaten path when it comes to like the event world, right? So it just
And I
does
think those
everything he
extras really
can.
matter. Yeah, that they really do matter because it's for someone who's from Pittsburgh, he makes that event, he makes me want to attend that event.
Yeah,
Where it's like, you know what, I knew how special it was last year for me and for our group that traveled. So like I said, I was like, I'm keeping an eye out on Waukesha because I'm like, that's like an 80% yes. And Abilene is also like another yes. And trust me, I'm on southwest.com daily. And the minute I find that flight to Dallas, book, and
right,
then everything else happens after the fact, right? Because you can get a hotel later, you can rent a car
right.
later, and it's really off peak at that point. So it's not Christmas and it's not any other major holidays. So, getting hotels and vehicles are quite easy. And
Mm.
especially when you travel with a group of people, you just like literally cut that in half.
Yeah. And the other thing about the accommodations and stuff, like that was the other thing that, like, talking to like Michelle, talking to Jen, talking to Don Crosby, talking to all these guys, they're like, it's not just the rink that you get to that is like so welcoming. It's like the hotel. Like they know who we are, like why we're there. Like they're, where some experiences we can have, like they see us coming in and they're just like, what is this? right? You know what I mean? And they're like, yeah, it's like the whole town is like,
The whole town knows you're
excited.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, he said it's on this old movie theater. It's like on the marquee downtown, like welcome skaters.
Yeah,
I'm
and
like,
we
dude,
were also featured in a magazine too, which was just really cool. Like, and I got a copy of it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm in this magazine. Like, so he has the coverage there that kind of just, which is a great thing because it also goes to say this is our sport, this is why we love it, and that's what the article actually talks about. But it also gets people interested in saying like, hey, like, do you want to go skating one night? And
yeah,
then you hook another person, and it's like, how many people have you hooked before? A lot, like
mhm,
because they see, my activity on my Apple Watch and they're like, dude, what are you doing burning
right,
1,600 calories? And I'm like, oh, I'm just skating. And they're like, you
yeah,
just skating? And I'm like, I'm just skating,
just skating.
and for the 2 hours, 2.5 hours, whatever your session is, like you go there and you're like, I have no worries in the world when I'm on the floor. I lace up and something happens, and like, who cares about my work day? Who cares about my home life? Who cares about this? You literally zone out. You just do.
Mm. So how many days or nights a week are you doing the lessons? At,
So at Neville, we do Learn to Skate. It's a 5-week program, and lessons are taught on Wednesday nights from 5:30 to 6:30, and then the same lesson is taught again on Saturday. So that's from noon to 1 o'clock. And if you can't make the Wednesday lesson, that's why we reteach it on Saturday, so that people can kind of like catch up before we like move on. And then folks are, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do something. So, but you're allowed to go to both sessions. Like you pay for it. You can come to all the Wednesdays, all the Saturdays, and if you can only make a Saturday, cool. And if you want to alternate your Wednesday, Saturday, that's fine as well. A lot of the students come both days. And a lot of the students retake the class again to kind of like fine tune what they didn't get before, which I absolutely love because to me that's an investment in yourself,
yeah,
as to why you're doing this, and it's fun. And we just interviewed a whole bunch of folks, Liz and I, about Learn to Skate and
mm.
what they loved from it. And we even have littles, aka our children. Liz instructs the kids, we
She's
instruct the
awesome.
adults. She literally has a way with these kids, and I'm like, bless you for doing what you do, because and I've helped her with a couple of the activities too, and I'm like, how do you do this, because the attention span's 45 seconds, right? But she makes it in chunks of where they could learn and then grasp each concept so they can move on to the next thing. And the adults are obviously different, but yeah, it runs for 5 weeks, and that also gives them admission to the next session, which is that public session that follows the Wednesday class, and the afternoon session that follows the Saturday class.
Mhm.
So that's included in the cost of the Learn to Skate program, which I think is remarkable because it's like I can skate like 3 hours, out on Wednesdays and 3 hours on Saturdays. So
Mm.
a lot of them stay, and a lot of them ask for help. And I love when they say, "Hey JD, show me how to do that thing again," or like, "How
Yeah,
do you do a T stop?" or "Show me the start stop stance," in the artistic move, or they see the loops on the floor, and it's like, "What are these, and how do you do these?"
yeah,
And you show them how to do an actual a figure loop, and they're like, what?
right.
It's just like, and then they understand weight balance, they understand the lean, and why you need to be on the left foot, and it gives you the ability to swing the right foot out for the crossover. So it's a super fun program to teach. It really is.
Yeah, so because I see these videos, like even like with the kids, the littles, and Liz doing it. I'm like, oh my God, like first off, I don't know if there's anyone better suited to do this than her. Like she's
Great.
amazing.
Yes.
But like now, I want to make just for people listening, that might be watching, thinking about this type of skate lesson situation. So it's a 5-week program. You're doing a specific lesson, and then you repeat that lesson. And so now, is this taking people like right from beginning to intermediate? Like, what
Yeah,
is the
so
range?
we're taking people from I've never put on a pair of skates before,
Okay,
those who can skate, but we're going to go through some basic fundamentals.
Okay.
We're going to lace up together. So the first class, we all start on the floor in socks. And
Okay.
everyone gets laced up, make sure that those skates are on, make sure that they fit, appropriately. And then we do some basic floor exercises at first, because at first everyone's attached to the wall, right? Because they're holding on for dear life, and it's just like, you got to come out onto the floor a little bit, welcome to
Right.
Mainland. We welcome them to the floor, and we go over how to do things, and it's a lot of basics that we call fundamentals that they just don't really understand, because you don't really glide when you're wearing shoes, right? You don't really do weight bearing when you're wearing shoes. And you don't think about when you're walking that you're actually on your left foot already to pick up your right step forward. You don't think about that. It just kind of happens, But
Mhm.
on skates, it's a different concept, because I have four wheels underneath my left leg and four underneath my right, and now I'm going like this.
Yeah.
And how do I stand? And it's like, you got to get them the feet hip width apart, hands down, make sure you're within, and we go from there.
It's crazy because I say this quite often actually too. Because like when certain people that I know that have gotten back into skating, or actually not got back into it, but as adults learned for the first time. Because I know for myself, there was a long period that I didn't skate. Like that first time that I did again, even just kind of standing up, like I
It was
never
rusty.
remembered having to check myself. So I
I
give so much respect to people that as an adult, like go and do that. So would you say though too that like if you're never skated before, there is a certain point in that 5 week process that maybe you'd want to wait until the next 5 week thing, or is this constantly rotating? Like I just want to make sure that I
Yeah,
understand the
no,
skill.
no, not really. So it is, when you say constantly rotating, like we progress from week one to week two to week three to week four to week five.
Right, right.
We have enough instructors where if folks are regressing, that we can actually help you through that lesson to catch you up to where we are in the quote unquote lesson plan. But at the same time, we all learn differently. So we're not all expected to come out of this program like you and I, right?
No, no, no. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That from the get-go, and we introduce ourselves. And for example, like, you have someone who does, someone who's an artistic skater, you have someone who's a jam skater, you have a derby guy, so we all have different skate styles, different skate techniques, and we let them know, hey, I've been skating since 1987, so you're not going to leave this program in 5 weeks and do what I do on the floor,
Right.
but we teach them the super basics of how to do a crossover, how to do a transition from front to back. We teach them how to go forward and then backward. And, and when they see themselves actually learning and growing in the sport, everyone is super just attached to what they're learning, and it's nice to watch them grow. And even if they can't get something, we can immediately spot that they're doing something incorrectly, and we go back and correct it, because you can get hurt, so, and
Yeah.
we don't want anyone to get hurt skating, or, lower back issues, or you falling. We actually teach you how to fall. And
Mm.
now
Yeah.
the funny thing is, you never fall in that way, right? But
Right.
fall small, and it's that crouch down, like, because you want to hit everything. You don't want to go down on your wrists, you don't want to hit the back of your head. So, we literally teach them how to fall. When we fall, we teach them how to get back up, because that's the most important thing. You don't want to stay on the ground, because it's more dangerous that you're on the ground than it is than you were
Oh
getting
yeah.
moving off to the floor. Because guess what? If you fall and we see you fall, there's rink guards around that's going to help you get up if you can't get up, and help you move off to the floor.
Yeah. So what now? How long have you been instructing in these lessons?
So I've been a certified instructor since March of this year. So
Okay.
for a
Okay.
few months, yeah.
Yeah, but you've probably had a chance to see people like legitimately really progress though.
I
Like,
have, yeah, and
yeah,
especially on our adult night, a few girls came. Heather came, Sabrina came, April was there, and also Sierra. I can't. There was at least four of them there, and they literally. So we started a small shuffle line, and this is just proud dad moment, right? So we
awesome.
started this like shuffle line at an appropriate song that was, decent beat, but not one of those like fast beats,
Mm-hmm.
And I literally look back and I see Sierra in this line, right? And I literally looked at her and I was like, girl, like you kept up. And
Mm.
she goes, I want to be in that line. And next year when I come, she literally was talking about Steel City next year. She was like,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
she
Yeah.
came this year, but was just like, I can't, but
Okay.
then on an adult night where it's a little less crowded, there's no
Hmm.
skate mates on the floor, she got in that line and skated for almost 4 minutes with us, and I gave her the biggest high five ever. And all I saw were teeth, right? And like that just made me happy, right? Because I'm just
Yeah, yeah,
like you get the infectiousness that we get when we skate. Like you get, and literally you look at Sierra and she's like, I love this. She's sweating, Sabrina's sweating, Heather's sweating, and they just have smiles on their faces. So it's
yeah.
just a great feeling, that you're out there doing something good for the community and also something that's recognizing the sport that we do.
Yeah, I mean, and it like, and because that's honestly like what I was thinking about when I asked you that question was, how long you been doing this, and wondering, have you seen anybody like,
Yes.
progress to the point where they're
Yeah.
now they're attending an event? Like that's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
Like
We
that's
also have one
crazy.
girl who has taken the class several times, and she's working with one of our coaches in the artistic style of advancing to the intermediate level of loops. So
Mm.
she
And that's
literally
not easy, dude. Loops are
She really
not easy.
comes, but they're so fun, right? But
Nah.
she really comes and practices them, and I literally look at Becky and I'm like, a few months ago you couldn't stand on these
Yeah.
skates, right? And then I see you doing, I see you going forward, and then I see you going backwards, and then you're doing cross pulls, and now you're attempting loops. Like, what's next, right? And we were talking at Neville about doing an intermediate program, but I think the question is like, what do you teach in the intermediate program? Because are you going to teach an artistic intermediate program, or do you want to teach more of a jam, or
Well,
like,
are you so at any
because there's
point?
so much that you can teach.
Yeah, at any point in that 5 weeks, like the fourth or fifth week, are you getting into like just learning how to maintain a rhythm or catch a rhythm while skating? Are you doing that at all?
So what we do is we have some music that's playing at during the entire session, really. And at week 4 and 5, we tell people to feel the beat of the song. So those playlists are curated specifically for you to listen to that beat and find that step. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we see it happening because a lot of the folks are like, "How do you get your body to bounce like that and move like that?" And I literally say, one, we have soft knees, and two, feel the beat of the music.
Yeah.
Feel that downbeat. When that downbeat hits, go down, come back up, go down, because it looks like we're doing so much more than what we're actually
It's
doing.
such an illusion. It's such
It
an illusion.
really is. Yeah.
And especially when you add like more than one person to it, right? When it's a
Yeah.
synchronized thing,
Yeah.
people look at it like, oh, that's amazing. And if you know
Yeah.
what you're looking at, you're like, it's really not though. Like it's like,
So
but
that's
well,
I just like when they have like, so I will request Midas Touch a lot by
mhm.
Midnight Star. It has the most perfect, like, decent shuffle beat ever where you're not speeding across the floor, but then you have a consistent line that's doing the same thing. And that's one of the things that I really love when I see a shuffle line is the consistency. And I don't see people trucking through and then just everyone's doing anything just to catch up.
Right.
That's not shuffling to me. Shuffling to me is that consistency in that line that just looks good, 20 people deep and sometimes too wide, so it's just like that's amazing.
Because honestly, like that, I mean, and look, this I have no clue what I'm talking about here, so take that with a grain of salt. But like, I would think that like at the intermediate spot would be the focus would be literally like your push off on beat. Okay, now do it next to somebody.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Now
yeah,
do it with somebody behind with two like behind you. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like do it 3 feet apart. Do it 2 feet apart. Over the course of the weeks, but maintaining a rhythm in a group because I think that you can go anywhere from there. With if you want to get jammed, if you want to be freestyle, if you want to be artistic,
You really
but
can.
but find that control of your body, like not because it's one thing to be able to skate on beat, but it's one thing to be able to skate on beat when you have to stay in this
Well, and one
lane.
of the things that we've also like talked about is when you have an artistic skater and they call them pairs, right?
Hmm.
And it's typically one person does one thing, the other person does another thing, and it's literally trusting your co-worker, right? Your
Yeah.
co-skater. Because like if I kick your skate, we're both going down,
Yeah.
So
My foot needs to be here, which means yours can't be here anymore.
correct,
Like,
correct. So like I mean that I think that's what we were trying to build upon in like that intermediate level class of like, hey, let's talk about pairs because like
yes.
we can go together and I could spin you, but I don't want you leaning or falling. You know what I'm saying? Like I need you to consistently do that transition front to back again, and then lead off,
Yeah.
And it's just I'm excited to see where we go at Neville with our next intermediate program because I think it's something that we can offer that's just no other rink has it right now in our area. So it's one of the things that's like, let's focus on it. And it really will attract people to the sport, that you
Well,
can actually learn to do this and do this as a sport and not
yeah.
just
I mean,
skating.
you're building like the stuff that Jim and I were talking about is like you're creating that next generation. You know what I mean? Like that
You really
filling
are.
that gap wherever it might have gotten lost. And I love this stuff. Like at Fantasy in Reading, they have like an '80s night, like on a Tuesday, and some nights before that
What?
yeah. But some nights before that they do the artistic lessons, and I'll just go a little early just to watch. I
Hmm.
was just talking to Jackie Cosmano about the skate academy that she works at, and just being like, I just want to come see. I just want to come watch. I love watching people learn. I love seeing different styles. Like I just get so on fire for it. You know, I know I would be the worst instructor ever. Like I just be like, come, just do it. Like
No, but I
because
think
I
I
don't
think
know how I do what I do. You
but I
know.
think with the adult crowd though, to be honest with you, like we don't hit them with as much instruction as you might think we do because it's more of a show and tell, right? Because like I'm not going to sit here and say, you have to have a purposeful posture when it's like because they're like, what does that mean, right?
Right.
But we demonstrate, we show them. I turn sideways or face them, or like it's called mirrored teaching, and you're with them, and you do it, and then you literally go and say, get down, a little lower, so that everyone knows that they're doing it correctly, So a lot of that is just show and tell, to be honest with you, and the adults love that because
And
that's
there's
how they actually recognize that they're doing something correct when we're like, yes. And we high five them constantly, and it's just like, you got this. And like I said, you see it in their faces, you see it in their smiles that they are overcoming something, fear of falling, fear like, hey, I can't do this, but like, look, I'm out here doing it with all these other people that are of age or older than me because skating has people. I always say skating's the sport where you can be 8 or 80 and you all have the same amount of fun. You
yeah.
know, the 80-year-old has just as amount of fun as the 8-year-old does.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's nights that you do these lessons where like the lesson ends and then like a session starts, essentially.
Yeah, yep. That's it.
So
The
that
Really at 5:30 the lesson starts, at 6:30 the lesson ends, and it's literally at 6:30 they're opening the doors for the public session to happen. And we typically stay on the floor. The instructors do because a lot of times we're just there skating and we're there for questions. So like, hey, if you want to go into the center of the floor and learn how to do something, call my name, yell at me, wave at me, and pull me over, and I will gladly help. So and we do it all the time.
that's when I got to come just check it out because I love to just come see it. I just want to come see it but it would be perfect if it's a night obviously that has a session too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that would be
Justify
Wednesday night
that.
or Saturday afternoon. So we are on a break right now because we just finished our 5-week session. So our next class starts on October 23rd. Look, I'm looking at the count. Yeah, October 23rd starts the next 5-week program. And once again, it's like I said, it's amazing to just come in and just see the progression from week 1 to week 2 to week 3. It's fantastic.
Sweet.
But yeah,
Awesome.
we would love to have you at Neville so you can see it. So
Yeah, I just want to check it out. Like, yeah. This stuff's always intriguing. I mean, anything I can like just another thing that I'm not aware of or I don't know about. You know what I mean? I just, but yeah, we had an hour and a half, man. Was there anything that you wanted to throw out there? Anything else you wanted to mention about the lessons or events or anything that you wanted to say?
Well, let's just talk about one, thank you for the opportunity to come on Skate Like
Yeah,
You,
man.
shoot the breeze with my friend, my fellow Pennsylvanian, because we're literally like in the same state. I represent West, you represent what, Central or East?
I guess, yeah.
You're kind
One
of
or the other.
one or the other.
Yeah, yeah,
So thanks for the opportunity. It was a lot of fun just talking about the thing we love to do. And
yeah.
um, yeah, I'll just see you at another event, and like I said, if you want to ride those coasters, like let's go to Cedar Point because that's just my thing.
You have no clue, dude.
Yeah,
You
so
just open yourself up for like a
I
whole
just
world.
don't skate. I ride coasters too. Like,
I'm
and,
telling you
and to
though,
be honest with you, like a lot of people, like one of the things I get all the time is like, you don't look your age, right? And I literally tell them I have fun in life. And I think that's like the most important takeaway is like, have fun at what you do. And it's not work. It's not a job. It's not a
mm,
thing I have to do. Like, it literally keeps you young and youthful and just like energetic. And my gosh, like, if I can ask you like one question, like, how do you feel after a session or after an event? You're like at this level up here,
yeah,
right? You're way up
yeah,
here. And like, I don't come down for like 3 days.
hmm
So I'm
yeah.
like stuck on high. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, when's the next one? When's the next one? And actually, the next one's in Philly. It's on my
Yeah.
wall.
Yeah.
So
So you guys, everybody, Philly Fall Skate
that is
Bash,
the
November
next
8th,
one.
9th.
So I have it 8th and 9th. Yep, we are coming out there. So,
Yeah, man. DJ Mayhem,
oh,
Tito,
and he's
Hops.
crazy. Love him.
Yeah.
Love
It's
me.
gonna, I think like the uh the mix of DJs that we have is like perfect. It's
Yes.
perfect. It's not so diverse that that it's going to appeal to different, like completely different crowd. It's like I think like everybody, like, look, if you can't get down to Mayhem, you can't get down to Jams, you can't get down to Phil, like, or even Hops. I love Hops, like at Whitehall. Like I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know. You need to skate on Jupiter or something. You know, I'm just saying. I don't. But yeah, November 8th, 9th, Philly Skateplex. Yeah, come check it out.
Think about December. Think about December.
Well, I'm going to Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
I'm going.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, okay.
That and Abilene, like those are my musts.
Abbott, like I said, I'm 90% on the Wisconsin one, and Abilene is more than likely going to happen as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I gotta do it. I absolutely have to do it. That and I'll do Florida again sometime in the summer or at the end of the summer.
Yeah,
But
I've
I
not
want to go to
been
Miami.
to
Have you been to
Jacksonville, so
Miami
I've
yet?
not been to Orlando yet. So,
Oh,
I'm
so you've
only
been to Miami, but you haven't been to Orlando.
no, I was only Jacksonville, so I just did the Jacksonville stuff, the Southeast Shovel Skate. Only did that
Okay.
one, but so anything Orlando South, no, I have not done yet.
Yeah, I got to do my. See, I done Orlando. In Tampa. I got to get to Miami. It just seems crazy with Jen. Forget
Oh
about
yeah, oh yeah.
it.
She's another one who's
All right.
cruising along all the time.
Oh, she's awesome. All right, man. Well, look, I don't have anything else unless you have anything else.
Nope, I'm good. Thank you for having me, and this has been a pleasure. So thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And we'll see you soon.
All right, take care.
Take care, GD.
All right, see ya. Bye.